Have you ever realized in your life that the cars in GTA 5 are faster than the game's own fighter jet? Yeah, my friends, in today's video we will be exploring the weirdest and most nonsensical glitches within GTA 5, both in the story and, I don't know, in the regular gameplay as well. It's very important to make it clear that this is not a real criticism of the game, but rather a way to show some things that didn't quite fit well in the middle of the story, or in the middle of the gameplay. From my point of view, I think it should have been well thought out, and maybe it wasn't. But anyway, let's go so you guys can understand. The first thing that makes absolutely no sense is that there is like a glass part here in Michael's house, right here on the ceiling, you know, on the stairs. When you look here, if you look up, you will see that, looking here, you can see the building outside and all the sunlight coming into the house and everything, all that stuff. However, man, if you decide to go up on the roof and look for where the heck this glass part is, for some bizarre reason, you won't find anything. I don't know where the developers messed up, if they did, like they did the roof first and then the inside part, or vice versa. But anyway, the house's roof doesn't match the inside with the outside. And to me, it should be something, it should be fixed, because it's not like a North Yankton scenario, which is a city we can't even explore in the game. We're talking about one of the protagonist's house, man, so it should be fixed, the thing should match, but unfortunately it doesn't. Another cool stop here, which is a cool glitch in the game, is like this. If you hit a police vehicle with your car, I think everyone knows this, you will acquire wanted stars. Depending on the hit, it can be 1 or 2 stars. However, if you get a heavy vehicle like a truck, tractor, or something like that, you can push other vehicles, and so far so good. But if you push this other vehicle and another vehicle hits the police vehicle, you push a vehicle and this vehicle collides with the police will go after the NPC and kill the NPC. They won't come after you even if you were the one who caused the accident in some way. It's kind of a flaw in the game's artificial intelligence, and I don't know that it will be more improved in GTA 6. I'm really curious to see how it's going to be. Another stop that never made much sense to me was the stun gun in GTA 5. Here in GTA 5, we are introduced to the stun gun, if I'm not mistaken, in the Humane Labs mission, where we are required to start with the stun gun, and Steve Haynes tells Michael to use non-lethal ammunition. In other words, the stun gun is meant to not kill the NPCs. However, when you are playing with the stun gun in the normal mode of the game, if you shoot an NPC passing by on the street, they will die. They won't like go into shock, get electrocuted, I don't know, and then get up and walk away after a while. They actually die. You see blood coming out of the NPC. Sometimes an ambulance comes and all, and the guys like declare him dead and leave. Anyway, I don't know what went wrong when the guys programmed this. I don't know if it was intentional either, but in the end, it doesn't make much sense to use the stun gun, because it should only incapacitate the NPC, not kill them. Another thing that doesn't make much sense to me, this one is kind of a script writing issue. It's in the mission Dead Man Walking. In this mission here, Michael, he takes a hit to the head from Dave Norton, wakes up in the morgue. That's so he can do the investigation for Dave Norton inside the morgue. What doesn't make much sense here from my point of view is when the guys unzip it and Michael is there, you have the option to press to wake up or not. It's like this part had a little script mistake, because if you unzip it there, the doctor, he will see that the guy there, he's breathing, right? That the person there who should be dead, pale, cold, is breathing and all. Anyway, I think it kind of doesn't make sense because there's a long conversation going on, and the mission only fails because the guys stick the scalpel in Michael's belly and all, and he ends up dying if you don't react to wake up. In my view, I think the mission should maybe fail because the doctors realized that Michael was alive and breathing, right? Like they comment, wow, it looks like this guy is alive and all, and then the mission fails because you didn't wake up in time. And then the guys managed to recognize that you were alive. I think it would make more sense that way, but anyway, it doesn't render the mission useless. Another thing that seems a bit strange to me is that there are many inaccessible parts inside the protagonist's houses, right? Like in Michael's house, Trevor's house, and Franklin's house, you see a lot of doors there everywhere, and these doors are inaccessible when they could have simply put some rooms there with, I don't know, games, hobbies, anything that could, whatever it may be, because I feel like the houses were much more explorable, for example, in GTA 4, in GTA San Andreas, and in GTA 5, they put in these huge houses, tons of doors, and I don't know, it ended up feeling like very limited, let's say. Another part here, this is a gameplay part, which I think doesn't make much sense, but here's the thing, the game's police have a mechanic where, man, anywhere, if you attack a cop, unless in a very specific way, which I'll show in another video, you will acquire a 3-star wanted level because you attacked a cop. What from my point of view is kind of strange is that, like, if you take an NPC, a cop, and take, I don't know, him out into the middle of nowhere, already dead, right? Like you kill him, leave him in the car, and then take him to the other side out in the middle of nowhere. With him already dead, no witnesses around. And then you take and, I don't know, set him on fire. When you set fire to the cop who is already dead, somehow you will immediately acquire 3 stars. And the police will know your exact location, as if somehow the police were alerted that you were attacking that cop. I have the perception that this will be fixed in GTA 6, especially because in Red Dead 2, we already have a much more advanced mechanic in this part, right? You need to have a witness to report the crime and such, something that didn't exist in the time of GTA 5. Another thing that to me was kind of strange, I didn't really understand why they did this, but it's here in the mission, the wrap-up. In this mission here, Agent Sanchez takes a shot in the head here, man. It looks like a hole the size of a tangerine came out of his head, and it's really gruesome, really ugly. And what doesn't make sense to me is like, why was this done? I don't know, it's kind of weird, because in the normal game, we don't have that, right? We can shoot NPCs in any way, with any weapon, that will never damage the brain, the head, or body parts, right? GTA, it doesn't have this feature of destroying body parts. You can even put a mod that does that, but naturally it doesn't have it. However, specifically in this cutscene, for some reason that I don't understand what it is, maybe it's to draw a little attention, I don't know. With a revolver, Steve Haynes shoots Agent Sanchez in the head, leaving a huge hole, and I don't know, to me there isn't a very clear explanation of why this happens, and then, I don't know, it gets kind of confusing to me, but there it is too. And another thing I wanted to show you guys here is that there are devices that have no physics, just like other devices, and I'll give an example of that, right? Like if you go to a laptop, a computer, like at Lester's house or something like that, if you shoot at these devices, they will, I don't know, do an animation of shock and all, while they are being damaged, and they will make noise, and the other NPCs can recognize that. But there are, at the same time as this, other devices that have only a part of, I don't know, interaction, let's say. An example of this is the TV in Jimmy's room here. If you come in here in the mission complications with a pistol, with a silencer, with a Franklin, you can shoot at this TV. The TV will react to the shots, meaning if you shoot at the TV, it will stop working, right? The screen will go black. However, for some very strange reason, Jimmy doesn't recognize that the TV was damaged, but if you shoot at the laptop, which is right there next to it, it's a laptop on the floor. Instantly, even with just one shot, he will notice and the mission will fail. So I don't know why it ended up being like this. Recognizing some devices, others not, you know? Maybe, I don't know, I think the developers just didn't realize it and then it kind of got left behind. But it ends up being a pretty funny situation when you learn about these flaws. Continuing things here that don't make sense in the middle of gameplay. Okay, outside of missions, there's a steamboat here in this part of the map that's sunk here, I don't know. It's something that seems to me to be very old. If I'm not mistaken, there's even a replica of it on Cayo Perico Island. And the strange thing here is the following: the steamboat, in theory, it's from a long time ago. I don't know, 50 years ago, maybe 100 years. But the strange thing here is that when you dive down here, you can find some weapons. And so far so good. The thing is, all these weapons are current. They're recent. In theory, from my point of view, I think they should be older weapons, right? I don't know, there's a collectible there of 2 or 3 old weapons that you wouldn't find anywhere that were probably dropped along with that steamboat back in the day when it was working. I don't know if it made sense, but I think it was just something that didn't fit very well. Another stop here for me, man, it makes no sense at all, dude. This one here is kind of weird to me, like at the level of that clear buoy at Michael's house. And here's the thing, when you input, at least in the version here on PS4, PS5, computer, sometimes it happens, okay? But when you input the address here, for example, of Franklin's house, when you get a taxi, right, you call a taxi, input Franklin's address, for the taxi to take you there, for some bizarre reason, which I don't know what it is, if you select the destination option on the map there and select on top of the house, the driver will drop you off on the street below. I don't know what crazy thing happens, but he will drop you off on the street below. I've even resorted to getting out and hitting the taxi, stealing his car to be able to go to the street above. However, if you go directly through the taxi menu there and select like Franklin's house, he will take you there correctly. But if you select through the map, he won't take you there correctly. You will end up on the street below, like as if it were the closest place the guy could drop you off. Even if you request, for example, a taxi there in front of Franklin's house, you will see that sometimes the taxi comes dragging from the side, you know? It arrives all beat up, all weird. So man, I don't really understand what happened here when the guys migrated from the PS3 version to PS4 to PS5 and so on, but definitely this here got messed up. Now coming back to the missions part, let's talk about the mission Minor Turbulence. This is the mission where we steal the biggest plane in the game, and what's the deal here, man? Like, it's cool that they cut that part, you know? Like, you can't really pull off what I'm about to show you guys, but in the end, it doesn't make much sense to me because it's kind of, it seems like the characters are being stupid. Let me explain. In this mission, we steal this huge plane loaded with Merryweather weapons, right? We steal it with Trevor, and we have to take this plane to the Mackenzie airfield. The thing here is that this plane is practically bigger than the Mackenzie airfield runway. You wouldn't be able to land this plane there. And even if you tried to land this plane, for example, in Sandy Shores, it wouldn't work either, because there are several trees around, and if you try to land that plane there, obviously using mods to spawn that plane, the plane will quickly get damaged and explode. So it's like the script doesn't match what should be done, and then it gives the impression that like the characters were kind of dumb and wouldn't be able to realize realize that. Another thing that seems kind of strange to me is that NPCs, for some reason, they don't recognize ambulances. I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you steal an ambulance, right, you can't spawn it with the mod menu and all, you have to steal an ambulance. If you leave it in the middle of the street, for some reason, NPCs don't swerve around it. If you leave any other vehicle, no matter what it is, they will stop behind it or they will swerve and then continue on their way. But the ambulance specifically, they don't recognize. Like, there are some motorcycle guys already crashing behind, falling to the ground as if the ambulance is now invisible. This next one is just a question that I have in my head. Go ahead, it's not a game flaw or anything like that, but like, what's the point of the jump and hit function? Because you press the circle to hit, right? Like a punch and all. And like, you press square to jump. But when you press to jump and hit at the same time, the character, he falls flat on the ground. So I don't know what would be the idea of the developers in implementing this. I didn't quite understand, but anyway. And just to add to this thing about the jump and hit function and all, there's this crazy thing that happens. Like, dude, if you encounter any NPC who is sitting, no matter where it is, whether it's on a bench, bus stop, or whatever, and you jump and hit on these guys, right? When our character falls like crap on top of them, these sitting NPCs, they die. And I don't know, it's kind of strange because like they just die. It's kind of bizarre. Another thing that also didn't look very good when the guys were adjusting in the game was the depths of the ocean. I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you go too deep into the ocean, the character will die because of the water pressure. What doesn't make much sense to me, or at least wasn't very well developed. The depth you can reach both with the submarine and without the submarine is exactly the same, and that kind of doesn't make much sense, right? The submarine should be able to withstand much more pressure than the human body, so I think that in theory, right, the character, like swimming normally, should be able to go to a certain depth before the pressure starts affecting his body, and then like with the submarine, you could reach twice that depth, or I don't know, right? I'm giving an example here, but I think you guys understood the idea. Another thing that also isn't going very well, man, it's kind of weird, is that like any character here can die even with a shot in the foot. If you start shooting at NPC's feet, like with a sniper or with a pistol, I don't know, no matter what it is, you can shoot until they die. In Red Dead 2, this has already been greatly improved, so I believe that in GTA 6, this will no longer exist. Like, you can, I don't know, shoot the guy in the foot and the guy starts limping. But dying from a shot in the foot will be kind of difficult. Furthermore, taking advantage of the fact that we're talking about feet, the character's feet in GTA 5, they seem to have an immense strength. You guys are not understanding, there are mountains that we can climb on a bike. I think everyone knows that. You've probably already tried to climb Mount Chiliad on a bike. What you didn't know is that when you hit a slope, right, a very steep part that the bike can't climb, if you turn your back and start climbing only with the strength of the character's feet, you'll see that they'll have more strength than the bike's own engine going up. So what this implies is that the character's feet and legs are much stronger than the bike we have here to climb these mountains. It's a bit glitchy there, but it's kind of a part of the game's dynamics and such. I don't know how that works. Just like it's very strange for the character's feet and legs to be stronger than a motorcycle engine. Another thing that's also quite strange here in the game is that cars can be faster than the jet in the game. A jet, I don't know, in real life reaches 1,000 kilometers per hour, 1,200, sometimes even more, right? And cars, I don't know, we can reach a maximum of 200, 300 kilometers per hour. If we take the top cars on the planet, we can reach 400, maybe 500, I don't even know how it is nowadays, in kilometers per hour. However, here in GTA 5, things follow a different dynamic. With the standard jet in the story mode of GTA 5, you can reach an average of 250 to 300 kilometers per hour. This is if you drive really well, you pilot the jet really well. However, if you take a car like a T20, tune it to the maximum and use Franklin's special ability, you can sometimes reach up to 400 kilometers per hour, or like at least stay well above 300 kilometers per hour. Of course, you have to take a clean track and drive really fast. You almost can't brake. But you notice that the cars here in GTA 5 can be faster than the jet. Obviously, it's much better to cross the map by jet because you don't have to follow the streets layout in the game, but it ends up being kind of strange, right? I think the jet should indeed be faster than the car, even if it passed over the map very quickly. I think the nerf that happened was precisely because of this. And one last stop, which to me is not kind of pointless, but I think it's kind of unexplained, is the following. In the GTA 5 prologue, we have an alien frozen under the bridge. However, in the next mission, which is the Franklin and Lamar mission, we see the aliens at the movie studio, right? People dressed up as aliens and all that. And then what is not really well explained, let's say, is how did these guys from the movie studio know exactly what an alien looks like? Like, either they knew and like the aliens have already appeared to humanity within the world of GTA 5, or that alien under the bridge in the prologue. In fact, there's nothing alien about it, and it's an actor in a costume who froze and stayed down there as well. Anyway, since there's no explanation for that, I think it kind of leaves a loose end, let's say. And if you already knew all these curiosities, which is quite difficult, and you've also finished the entire game more than once, by clicking on the video indicated by the arrow, you'll check out 50 amazing things to do in GTA 5 after completing it, and I'm sure you don't do many of them. And that was today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care, and bye.